Hi, I'm Elisa Lamel, Legal Content Specialist for Krause Financial Services. Today, I'm joined by the founder and CEO of Stronghold Financial, Jon Michaels. Jon's office is located in Scottsdale, Arizona, but he provides financial planning services and wealth management guidance for clients all over the country. Jon's firm specializes in helping clients not just financially plan for their retirement, but to plan for retirement with the possible need for long-term care or Medicaid in mind. During our interview, Jon will discuss the difference between working with a financial advisor that provides financial guidance with Medicaid planning in mind and one that does not, why it matters, and what investments you might be recommended that could cause complications with your Medicaid eligibility later. We'll also be discussing the new referral program between Krause Financial Services and Stronghold Financial and how you and your clients can take advantage of this exciting new opportunity. Jon, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, I was stoked to be here. I'm really excited to talk to you and through you, all of the attorneys in your network.
Absolutely. So, one of the topics that we're going to be talking about today is financial planning with Medicaid planning in mind and what that all entails. So, I understand that you are the founder and CEO of Stronghold Financial. So, tell
That's
me
right.
what makes Stronghold Financial different from other financial advising or wealth management firms?
Yeah, it's really three things. So first of all, we are a true fiduciary advisor. So we always do what's right for our clients. We have a track record of doing that, and not all advisors are really set up to be true fiduciaries. So that's number one. Number two, we look at the entire universe of investment options for our clients. And really, this is kind of special because most investment advisors have somebody above them telling them a subset of potential investments that they can only share with their clients. Usually there's a broker dealer or somebody above them who's limiting what they can offer to their clients. And we don't do that. We're a complete fiduciary and independent advisory firm, and so nobody is above us telling us what we can and can't expose our clients to or show our clients to. So, alternative investments, private equity investments, precious metals. There's all kinds of stuff that real estate investments, all kinds of stuff that's available to us that we can then make available to our clients, and that really allows us to provide ultimately a better solution, a more creative solution, a more diverse solution than what a lot of other advisors will offer. And then third, we have a very prosperous Medicaid planning operation. I literally wrote a book called The Medicaid Roadmap to help clients who can't afford to pay our consulting fee. I hated sending them away. And so I wanted to give them something powerful that they could use to basically do it themselves to navigate their loved one through the Medicaid process. And so, because of our understanding and expertise in the Medicaid space, not only are we, fiduciary advisors with the whole universe of investments available to us, but we have an eye on long-term care planning and Medicaid planning for all of our clients. That's how we're different.
Okay, so let's go back to the Medicaid planning aspect a little bit because that is
Yeah.
something that's very unique to your firm. So, what does it mean to provide financial recommendations with Medicaid planning in mind?
Yeah. So most advisors plan to get their clients to retirement. And then if you look at their financial plan from retirement forward, their lifestyle is not going to change much. The assumption is, let's say you hit 65 and, we think, oh, you might pass away in your 90s. We're going to account for inflation, but basically your lifestyle is going to be roughly the same for all of those years. And what we know is that, statistics tell us 4 out of 5 adults 65 and over are going to need some form of long-term care, assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, and their advisors aren't helping them plan for that expense, and that expense is going to be massive. So, at some point, there's going to be this financial bomb that's going to be dropped on 80% of people, and they're completely unprepared for it. So, what that results in is a massive expense that they're not prepared for. That's going to shorten the useful life of the assets that they've worked so hard to build up. And that's going to be a really ugly situation for that family to try and navigate. So when we talk about what does it mean to provide financial advice that includes Medicaid planning, it's knowing as far in advance as possible that Medicaid and or long-term care is going to very likely be a part of what you're going to need some point in your retirement in your later years. And like I said, most advisors don't even really get into that.
Okay. So that's really good information to know because, like you said, I haven't heard that from a lot of different advisors.
Right.
So your firm services clients all across the country. You're based in Arizona, but you can
Yep.
work with clients in all 50 states. How do
Yep.
clients in a different state work with you? Is everything done electronically?
Yeah, in fact, we kind of we appreciate that and we prefer that. So really, first of all, yes, my clients are all nationwide. I certainly have clients here in Arizona, but we have clients in all 50 states. Ever since COVID, it's become normal for interactions to occur, digitally. So we use Zoom or, GoToMeeting, whatever the client is comfortable with, in order to conduct face-to-face meetings. And then when it comes time for them to actually, sign documents, we use DocuSign and other electronic signature technologies. And what we found is that even in the worst case, where we're dealing with an elderly person who might not be too terribly tech savvy, there's an adult child or someone else in that person's life, power of attorney or not, who can at least guide them through the process of getting them on a Zoom meeting or helping them with digital signatures. So yeah, nationwide and electronic technology really hasn't been a problem for us at all. It's working out really well.
Perfect. So you touched on this in our previous question, and I want to dive into this a little bit further. So there is a big difference between estate planning for clients and planning for their retirement, and estate um, planning for retirement, but also planning for the possible need of applying for Medicaid or potentially long-term care. Why
Yeah,
is it so important to work with a financial advisor that can do that latter?
yeah, great question. So 99% of advisors don't help their clients understand what the potential devastating financial effects will be for long-term care. They don't even help them understand the numbers. So, like for example, at an average of $8,000 per month, which is roughly the national average right now, and a national average duration of about 26 months, you're talking about $208,000 of additional long-term care expense that 99% of advisors didn't help their clients plan for. And then what if both spouses ended up needing long-term care using those same averages? Now we've doubled up to $416,000. That's a lot. I mean, for most people, that's a lot of money. And if that all of a sudden becomes a surprise, you can imagine what that would do to somebody's financial plan. Now, what if the duration's longer than 26 months? What if they need a specialized level of skilled care that costs $22,000 a month instead of eight? So when I work with my clients, we assume that long-term care is going to be an eventuality in their future. And guess what? If it's not, great. That just means that they've got that much more, assets at their disposal to live the lifestyle that they want to live. But at least they don't have that devastating expense again as a huge bomb dropped on them when they're in their 80s or 90s that can absolutely devastate the rest of their financial life.
So let's talk about some of the investments then that clients can get involved in when they are Medicaid planning or estate planning with Medicaid planning in mind in the future. Are there any investments that you see clients being recommended by other financial advisors that can harm their Medicaid eligibility down the road?
Oh yeah, for sure, absolutely. So I would categorize that as any illiquid investment which can prevent the client from accessing their funds for spend down purposes. And especially investments that have arduous surrender charges like annuities. So, we see a lot of clients who've come to us and they've, recently signed a fixed annuity contract, which we love fixed index annuities in the right situation. The problem is that if you're still under the annuitization period, there's going to be surrender charges there, and that annuity is considered a accountable resource from a Medicaid standpoint, which means you're probably not going to get approved by the Medicaid office because of the very presence of this annuity. So you're going to have to basically unwind the annuity, surrender it, and you're going to end up paying big time surrender charges, which is going to be super financially painful. So, again, any illiquid investment, but especially one that has surrender charges, are the types of investments that we absolutely want to steer our clients away from. We can manage it. It is manageable. It's not like it's going to preclude them from getting on Medicaid, but it's going to be really painful if those types of products are in place, and it's going to take a lot of financial pain to unwind them.
Okay, okay. So I also want to talk about we're not just financially planning for the Medicaid applicant themselves. That is a big piece, but we also have their loved ones. We have the community spouse, the healthy spouse at home, or also the beneficiaries that might benefit after the Medicaid applicant passes. Can you
Yeah.
do financial planning with those groups of individuals as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's kind of I think one of the value adds that we bring. We build so much trust and rapport to the entire family through this process that invariably the adult children want to have a conversation with us about their financial planning. Something that I think is really important to talk about, though, is advisors who don't understand Medicaid literally know nothing about Medicaid recovery. So, for those of you that aren't familiar, Medicaid recovery is the process by which each state tries to claw back dollar for dollar what they laid out or what they paid for that individual's long-term care. So, if the state has laid out a couple $100,000, I used the example before, $208,000, Medicaid recovery is going to try and come in after that person and their spouse has passed away and reclaim or claw back that money to replenish the Medicaid budget. So, if not properly planned by somebody who knows what they're doing, Medicaid recovery is going to come in and put a lien on estate assets like the sale of the primary home. They can force the sale of the primary home. They can put liens on, investment accounts and force the liquidation of those assets, things like IRAs, brokerage accounts. And God forbid if the market for those asset classes is depressed, kind of like it is now. I mean, real estate's taken a huge hit this year, and the stock market's taken a huge hit this year. The bond market's taken a huge hit this year. Um, it can be devastating to have to be forced to sell those assets when they're depressed versus holding on to them until they recover. So we work hand in glove with estate and elder law attorneys to protect these assets in advance so that they're minimally impacted by Medicaid recovery, which is a huge benefit then to the healthy spouse and or the adult kids or grandkids who are ultimately going to be inheriting these asset classes.
Okay, that's excellent information to know because I think that's also a huge component to the Medicaid planning piece that can sometimes get left out.
Yeah, we see it all the time.
So let's talk about this referral program with Krause Financial Services a little bit. So tell me
Yeah.
what this program is and how clients can get involved.
Yeah. So, look, the genesis of this program is really just everything we've talked about so far about how, if you're an estate planning attorney, an elder law attorney, you're probably already dealing with your client's financial advisor. And that financial advisor, unfortunately, can be a hindrance to the process, either because they're just ignorant to how the whole thing works, or frankly, because they're not true fiduciaries and they don't want to lose the assets that they're controlling because the assets they're controlling are how they generate fees. So the whole purpose behind this program with you guys at Krause is, let's give you exposure to a financial advisor who's a true fiduciary and who literally wrote the book on Medicaid planning. And the process for engaging with us is really simple. You can just reach out via email or phone to your key point of contact at Krause that you already work with, and then just copy Colin Terry at Krause. Colin is the director of sales at Krause and was instrumental in working out this strategic relationship between our two firms. Tell them that you want to connect with Jon Michaels, that's me from Stronghold Financial, to explore financial management options for your client. Krause will ultimately connect us, and then we can work with you to provide the best solution for your client. Not a problem.
And can attorneys, the elder law attorneys that are reaching out, can they still be involved in that financial process with you, or how would that work?
Yeah, and that's yes. I mean, in a word, yes. What I found is that some attorneys want to be involved every step of the way. Some attorneys just want to stay involved at the beginning and then kind of have key check-in points. And other attorneys, they're really busy and they just want to do a handoff and that's that. So we're going to calibrate our involvement and collaboration with the attorney based on what the attorney wants and ultimately what the client wants. So at no point are we going to, demand that the attorney back away. We're going to keep them as involved as they want to be.
Excellent. Well, that's great information, John. I really appreciate your time today and for giving your insight
Yeah.
on this. For any of our attorneys and viewers watching that have questions or they want to reach out to you and work with you, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, if you'd like to connect with me and ask questions, obviously two best ways would be email me. So I'll just spell out my email for you. It's JON as in Nancy, M as in Mary, at Stronghold, STRONGHOLD, Fin as in financial. So John M at strongholdfin.com. That's my email. And then my mobile number is area code 602 614 2382. You can always call me.
Perfect. So we're going to link your contact information at the end of the interview so that our viewers can easily access that. I
Yeah.
just want to thank you again so much for your time, and we really loved having you here.
Thanks, Elise. I really appreciate it. It'd be good to connect with all of your attorneys when they're ready.
Thank you.